Podcast City Network.
This is Final Score, your number one podcast for sports news. Here are your hosts, Chris and Craig.
Hey guys, and welcome to another exciting episode of Final Score, episode 89. We are beyond geriatric at this point, and we're just going for good old father time. But we do have another great episode lined up today. Obviously, though, we do not have Craig. Craig did have successful surgery, so he is now resting comfortably. So hats off to you, bud, and we can't wait until you come back. But since I don't have Craig, that means I had to go find some people on the stream. I mean, some people, that I know that are great people, of course, yes. Just trust me, and that are going to join me on this show because it's going to be a good one. I have none other than Jorge DeMoya of Not a Hockey Market Podcast and 90 Miles Media. How you doing, bud?
Doing great today, boys. Good morning. It is beautiful weather out here in the 305, down a little bit further south than you guys. It's nice and breezy, which means one thing for this guy right here. It is hockey jersey weather, which means these bad boys are coming out every day. I don't care if I have to go into an office and, talk to a bunch of executives tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm wearing a Flames jersey. The next day it's Blackhawks. The next day it's Habs because it's hockey season is finally here. I'm excited to bring that to you guys here on Final Score and also get to listen to my boy over there rant and welcome one of my favorite, my meme competitor, my meme nemesis over there, Jimmie. How you doing today, bud?
How you doing? Honored to be here. Well, I don't think we're competitors. We're more like collaborators, separate but equal collaborators.
I'll take that. But I see your memes sometimes, dude, and I'm always like, man, I gotta one up this guy. Like he can't do that.
George,
can't put,
That was my whole goal.
Yeah, remember he's a meme god, yet so humble. So he has to have this tough exterior, but is able to just bring that wholesome memeness. So
I'm just channeling the cosmic meme through me. It's not really me,
I love it. But we do have a great show lined up for today. But to make sure that you stay up on all things Final Score, you got to make sure to follow us on social media at PCN Final Score, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, and Instagram. Go on, give us a like, give us a follow, give us a share, send invites to all your friends. The whole entire kit and caboodle. Help us out by doing that because we're trying to hit these goals that you see above our heads. Facebook, we've definitely been making a resurgence this past week. We thank you guys so much for your support, but we are not quite there yet. Let's keep on pushing and keep trying to hit those goals. So we thank you guys so much, but always remember at PCN Final Score. But we do have, again, some great stuff lined up. And like you said, George, I get fearful, man. I wouldn't want to be in a boardroom with you with a hockey jersey on. That just sounds like it'd be dangerous. But
yeah, if I take out my teeth or something like that, it gets really bad. But, I got to definitely say, what Final Score is also doing right about now, and I'm so thrilled to be a part of it, is that we are looking for more contributors,
that's right?
So the team at Podcast City Network is looking for writers to contribute articles for Final Score. We're looking for a sports writing role for those who want to gain some resume experience, build their brand as a journalist who love sports and want to grow in the business. If you'd like to learn more and you think you would be a great fit for our team, I think you would be a great fit. Be sure to message Final Score on Facebook or email pcnfinalscore@gmail.com and join the frickin' team. Not a Hockey Market Podcast is a part of that team, a part of the Podcast City Network presented by 90 Miles Media and Not a Hockey Market Podcast. Let's roll right into it. What we do is we have a focus on the NHL with a hyper focus on those not a hockey market, areas. We're going to put a disprove to that BS statement that hockey is definitely for everyone, and hockey fans can be found everywhere and anywhere, even all the way in North Cuba, where I'm from. I.e., banging the pots and pans, dale, poto lao, all the stuff. I'm a little bit of Spanish for Jimmie. We're out to prove that message, man, that hockey is for everyone. It is everywhere. And that is what Not a Hockey Market podcast is all about.
Absolutely. That is amazing stuff. And I know I enjoy it because, come on, what other sport allows actual fighting in their sport? Like, come on now. Not saying it's approved, but it happens, and they just happen to let it happen. So it's great stuff. And, we already know the Flyers are going to win win the Stanley Cup. I almost said the World Series. Wow. You can just tell. That would have been horrible.
Wow.
They have about as much chance.
I don't know, man. Flyers, you know what? I'm going to tell you right now. We're going to go through and give you just a quick basic preview. I want you guys to chime in here. Season starts on January 13th for the NHL. Catch all that you need. Division previews, in-depth analysis for Not a Hockey Market podcast at 90 Miles Media. Just go ahead and go to YouTube or Facebook and search 90 Miles Media, and make sure you subscribe and like those channels to get division previews, to get in-depth weekly analysis of the Flyers not really having that good of a decor to back up Carter Hart. Sorry, bud. Hate to break it to you.
It happens.
It's going to be a tough season. I think it might be a tough season for you.
Yeah.
But what else can you get with 115 days of straight hockey?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's just, as one of the great philosophers of our time would say, that's straight cash, homie.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Not to mention, top 4 teams from each division will go to the playoffs. The divisions are playing, within each other.
Mm-hmm.
And, I don't know. You get to see Calgary versus Edmonton play 10 times. Are you kidding me? You're wondering if the Battle of Alberta is not going to have some blood?
Mm-hmm.
The Penguins and the Flyers get to play each other almost 10 times. I believe it's 8 times in the season, starting off.
That's going to be crazy.
On the 13th. I mean, they despise each other. You know that.
Oh, yes.
Anybody that just walks in with a Pittsburgh, jersey, all of a sudden you start throwing eggs at them just because you can.
Have you seen what Philly fans did to Santa Claus?
Exactly. What do you think they're going to do to Crosby if he's walking down the street of Philadelphia?
Exactly.
So you got that going on. So definitely make sure to catch all of that at Not a Hockey Market podcast. Also, just a quick little note, and we're going to give you this news break. There was 8 players, not 8 teams. That'd be bad. Really 8 players from the Dallas Stars did test positive for COVID-19. So their season opener was pushed back for them to January 19th. But here's what I love what the NHL did. They acted quick and fast. They said, your guys tested positive. Your opener's getting pushed back a full week. You guys won't start until the 19th. But they didn't include who they were playing against during those days. They went, no. The other teams aren't testing positive. Only your team. So therefore, we're not going to punish the team like the Pittsburgh Steelers that got punished, during the NFL season because Baltimore couldn't get their shit together. The Florida Panthers were supposed to open against the Dallas Stars. They will now open against the Chicago Blackhawks instead. So they rearranged the schedule, moved some things around, and just, let that team sequester, let that team quarantine, let that team get better, and then they can start the season. Yeah. But the rest of the NHL, other teams won't suffer because of it.
Right. And that's one thing I saw that was interesting with the schedule is that you're looking at 56 games in 115 days. That's a game almost every 2 days, a little over actually. And with that does give you a certain amount of flexibility, especially if you set up that schedule correctly. Literally, you can have that game made up in a week or two, very easily. Unlike with the NFL where you have to have that downtime in between, NHL is more like kind of how basketball is, where you can kind of throw in games where you need to. So I feel that that with this approach, this is really going to help, I think, not only make sure that the season happens, but also that if there's any kind of a major outbreak or any kind of major issue with a team or even with say a division even, because remember they are going to be playing interdivision, so a lot of that was set up regionally, that it won't impact the season too heavily to have to stall the season or halt the season in any kind of way. So, I mean, I got to applaud the NHL for being able to make this happen.
And the flexibility. People do not give the NHL enough credit, boys. Come on. They realigned the entire freaking league to make sure that there were interdivision teams and that there were regional bubbles, basically.
Yes.
You know, nobody else is doing that. You have that flexibility to be able to move some things around, not to mention the taxi squad. Everyone in the NHL is talking about the taxi squad. It's an expanded roster for their teams. If, you know, a couple players end up with COVID, they can bring in some guys from the taxi squad. So it's expanded scratch players, right? A little bit like the NBA is doing it, but it's expanded scratch players that will go practice with the team, not necessarily travel with the team, but are available at a moment's notice, you know, and say, all right, 3 of our guys are out. We need to bring 3 guys in from the taxi squad. So they'll always have fresh players, keep some of the star players from getting hurt too much. And it's just a really good system. And, you know, you don't need to do much, man. NHL fans are loyalists. If there's hockey and there's blood and there's pucks flying around, we're in.
Yes. I tell you what, it's going to be exciting. I know I can't wait at all. This is going to be amazing. And we're only a mere 3 days away. We have a 5-game opening slate. I think it's going to be a good season, man.
Definitely is going to be a good season. So be sure to catch all your hockey content information from us at Not a Hockey Market Podcast on Facebook and YouTube. We're going to be doing a fun live NHL fantasy draft with my degenerate friends for the hockey season. So that'll be also on YouTube tonight at 9 p.m. So catch that.
Yeah, definitely make sure to catch that just as much as you can catch all the great things that we offer on the Podcast City Network shop. And there's so many great items, whether it be a neck gaiter to protect you from COVID-19, a mug for your morning coffee, or just a t-shirt just to look cool like me because I'm wearing a Final Score shirt. So, I mean, I'm automatically cool, right? So we got you covered. Get the latest apparel and gear for your favorite podcast and Podcast City Network by visiting podcastcity.net/shop and checking out the crazily deep lineup we have. And more items have actually already been recently added. Some as most recently as last night. Jimmie, I know, knows about this one, but we'll talk more about that one later. But a lot of great stuff going on the shop, so definitely make sure to check it out. But that means now it's time for a little NFL wild card action. And man, Saturday was wild to say the least. We had crazy games happening, almost near upsets, huge comebacks that fell short. But hey, you know, that's the Indianapolis Colts way, right? So we'll go ahead and start right there, though. Buffalo Bills ended up beating the Indianapolis Colts 27-24 to get their first playoff win in 25 years, which was last against Miami in 95. So it's crazy to see the Bills Mafia finally out in force. And they actually had some fans there. They were going wild. George, what are your thoughts on this game?
Let me tell you something. This game was an excellent game. I was thrilled to be watching it, you know, on a 1:00 start. It was beautiful in Buffalo. Nothing is better than being able to watch a Buffalo game and then on your phone, you just see Buffalo fans going through tables at every quarter. I mean, as a Miami fan, nothing makes me happier. But I have to say, Josh Allen is the MVP. I'm sorry. It is not Aaron Rodgers. It is Josh Allen. All right. And he showed that yesterday. All right. He didn't have huge plays. He didn't really have anything that wowed you, but he was constantly managing the game. He was constantly hitting his spots. He was hitting his receivers. He was making the right decisions. It was a playoff performance that you love to see. Props to the Colts. They made it a game. The Colts have a bright future if Phillip Rivers doesn't get in the way of his own way, I should say, which he tends to do.
Well, yeah, with 9
I
children.
do have to say, what the was with the reffing though at the end of the game?
Yeah, it was interesting. A lot of interesting calls.
That just took the Colts completely out of it. Phillip Rivers is a rhythm kind of quarterback, and you didn't let him get into a rhythm because you were too damn confused on what the rules were.
Yeah.
Maybe it was the cold in Buffalo that screwed them up. I don't know. I think that helped the Bills secure that win. But hey, I'm stoked because you know what? I have the Bills going all the way this year.
Oh man, said
And
it here
God, it
first.
hurts. You know what though? I hate the Jets more than the Bills. So if I had to pick, I'm not that sore on the Bills.
Are you saying you're voting for the lesser of two evils, sir?
I am voting for the lesser two evils. It's kind of been my motto for the last 16 years.
Oh my goodness. Jimmie, I know you saw a little bit of this game. What do you think, man?
George, I just gotta say, hating the Jets at this point is just like kicking a dead body. You know,
he ain't lying.
You don't have to keep them in your heart like that. Just let them go. They all hate themselves. This game, I cannot believe how close this game ended up being. I thought Buffalo was going to have another 35, 40 plus game. Phillip Rivers going to throw a couple picks. I've watched a lot of Phillip Rivers over the years. I'm waiting for him to turn that ball over in January. But no, it was a hard fought game. It was so fun to watch. I love when the wild card round isn't just lesser teams getting picked off by greater teams.
Mm-hmm.
I like to see, even with the records don't matter, just go out there and win one football game. That's what I love about the NFL in general. There ain't no series, bro. Win it or go home every week until the Super Bowl. And then win it or go home. Woo!
That's exactly right, though. Honestly, you got to go 1-0 in the playoffs every week, and that's the goal. So Bills Mafia got it done, and now they're moving on to the divisional round. And I know, man, I can only imagine how much Buffalo's exploding right now. Those fans are going wild. Oh man, but we definitely.
Oh, of course, man. They're losing their minds right now. Have you seen all the tables that are being put through?
Oh yeah.
I
heard Billy Bob
like right now, if anybody is interested, I would definitely be buying some stock this year into whoever makes those tables.
Yeah, so try and do it pre-Super Bowl.
Sales at Home Depot are going up.
Oh, it's too good. But in our next game, we had the LA Rams taking on the Seattle Seahawks, and this game ended up being weird for a number of reasons, as we saw quarterback John Wolford, who was starting in place of Jared Goff, go out with injury, severe neck injury, which ended up, I guess, being just a stinger, but still was able to keep him out of this game. So who do we get? You got Jared Goff coming on in, but then there was more injuries. You had Aaron Donald going down. You had Cooper Kupp going down. Of course, Goff wasn't in there to start the game for a reason, so this game was just crazy in that respect, but still, the LA Rams pull the upset and beat the Seattle Seahawks 30-20. Absolutely crazy game. Seattle couldn't get anything going offensively, or at least not consistently anyways, and Russell Wilson just looked out of his element. And man, can you guys believe it? This actually happened? George, what are your thoughts?
He was under siege.
It was under siege. I agree, Jimmie. But you know what, man? Of course you saw it happening. Defense wins championships. It's always the case. When it comes down to it, defense wins championships. And the LA Rams, you limit the big plays from DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett.
Massively.
Yeah, they still have some because, DK is an absolute beast of a man. He's going to burn you. You just got to make sure he doesn't burn you at the wrong time. Let him burn you when you're up by 10 and you still have, 2 more possessions to go, or you still have a little bit of a lead. Don't let him burn you when it's a game changer.
Oh, yeah.
But the LA Rams surprised me, and this is where I don't like the NFL wildcard weekend. Jimmie, you mentioned it earlier. That Buffalo Colts game was great. But then now you're looking at an LA Rams team that looks super depleted going into the next round. Donald's going to be hurt. Coop's hurt. Goff still got, thumb surgery. Can the NFL please stop playing games on Thursday? just throwing that out there for safety. That way when you actually get to the playoffs, that these teams have a chance to be a little bit healthier than this?
No,
I don't know. What do you think, Jimmie?
I don't know. I told Chris last night, I think maybe Russell Wilson's playing hurt again. He did not look like the same guy that we saw at the beginning of the season. Everybody was talking that he was in the running for MVP. This team was going all the way. They scored 20 points last night. And a lot of that time, Russell Wilson spent on the ground or trying not to be on the ground. So I don't know if it's offensive line issues, which it obviously is. And not to take anything away from the Rams, they've been doing it to a lot of teams.
Mm-hmm.
But it did not look like that first 8 games, Russell Wilson, next level MVP. They looked like a completely different team.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, 100%. What was it? 43 something sacks on the year for Seattle's offensive line, the most in the NFL, something along those lines. Russell Wilson, I'm surprised he wasn't, more hurt after getting sacked that many times this year. I had Seattle going all the way too, and he was always on the floor. I thought Seattle was going to find a way to overcome, that little slump and just get into playoff mode, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, there's no such thing as playoff mode right now for them. Their playoff mode is I'm going to go golf.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, it's over now. Let me go play. But the thing is, and to correct the stat, it was 48 sacks that the Seattle Seahawks offensive line has allowed this year. Absolutely dismal, and yes, worst in the league. It was Houston last year, and now this year it is Seattle, and somehow they still make the playoffs. But the big thing that Jimmie alluded to about what we talked last night is the big thing I saw too was how quickly that pocket would collapse. You saw so much pressure, especially coming up through the guard positions when and Rams were not shy about bringing a blitz. They brought a blitz almost every single play, and that line just could not handle it at all, which showed with how many sacks they were able to get in this game, how many times they were able to hit Russell Wilson, keep him battered, keep him off kilter. He was not able to get comfortable, plain and simple, and I think that's what led to a lot of these issues. But let's not, again, not take away from the Rams. You see Darius Williams come jumping in on all plays, a wide receiver screen, and picks it off for a touchdown. That doesn't happen on those kind of plays. That is the last thing that could possibly ever happen on a wide receiver screen is to throw a pick six. And you saw him literally run up right between the blocker, picked off the quarterback, and ran it back for a touchdown. We know, Jimmie. We know. So it's just crazy to see how they were just able to dominate on both sides of the ball this way, and with all these injuries. But like you said, George, they're going to be depleted going into next week. So seemingly the Rams are going to get handled. However, there has not been any information further about what's happened with Aaron Donald or Cooper Kupp, but we do know at the very least that John Wolford is good. He was able to celebrate in the locker room after leaving the hospital, so he's at least good. So, hey, they'll have a quarterback if Jared Goff can't do anything, but it's just crazy. But if you look at both quarterbacks, defense has ruled in this game. There was very low completion percentage. It was really hard to push the ball upfield. It was just really crazy to see just how good these defenses were.
Absolutely. And one thing we did not mention from this game, shout out to my boy, Florida State, Cam Akers, rookie running back for LA. He turned out some great yards. What was it? $141? Something like that, for the most in Rams history for a playoff game. I mean, huge props to him. He ran tough yards, and he was consistently getting 3 to 4 yards per carry. So Absolutely. He made things manageable for golf.
Man, definitely not missing Todd Gurley anymore. I could tell you that. But the Rams will move on. Who? But the Rams will move on and get to play a divisional round game, and we won't know the actual opponent until we get through today's games. But we did have one more game last night, and we can't forget about the Tampa Bay Bradyneers taking on the Washington Football Club team. We don't know what we are anymore. I mean, they don't have a name, so, But the Bucs ended up winning this one 31-23 after Alex Smith was declared out and Taylor Heinicke had to come in and make his second ever start. So definitely was very disappointing. A lot of people expected Alex Smith to be able to try and come in and really battle in this game. But honestly, Heinicke did not leave us disappointed. That dude went out and balled, even to the point to where he had such a huge, I know me and Jimmie watched this live, where he had a huge touchdown dive to the end zone that he ended up separating his shoulder on. And it was just showed the absolute grit and guts that this guy has to keep just driving and pushing forward and trying to find a way to get his team to win. It was an absolutely amazing game to watch, and the Bucs came this close to letting it go.
They came dangerously close to losing that game. Okay, and Tom Brady's there on the sideline watching this XFL quarterback Taylor
Right.
Heinicke, while getting his name pointed to by Chase Young of all people. This guy, he was this close to pulling off the Daniel Bryant of all wins. I mean,
Yes.
he, I wouldn't be surprised if the crowd, if they were there, they would be chanting yes all day. I loved that performance, and that was a great story. But let's just talk about how the NFL, we were talking about it earlier, it's either a really great wild card game or it's a what the hell. It's one team that's super overmatched, just completely destroying them. Any other team, I say Washington Football Club wins that game. I say they win that game, but they were just extremely overmatched against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and that's the lack of parity that you have in the NFL right now with the small divisions and these super teams that tend to get away from you. I mean, I don't know if they'll ever change because the NFL just doesn't like to do change. Every other league has adapted. NFL does not like to adapt whatsoever. So mad props to Washington. I just got to give it up to the football club. They're still going to be a club in my heart. They're still not going to be a team. And they proved it because what they do, they had an AHL affiliate or XFL affiliate bring in a quarterback and make a name for himself, man. Somebody get that dude a deal.
AAF. Let's put it out there. But it's still great to see what he was able to pull off. Like, what kind of guy goes in making his second start ever and is able to ball out against a good defense in the playoffs like that? Absolutely amazing to see what he did. Jimmie, what do you think?
I think it was amazing. I mean, this was, again, another one of those games where you think they're just going to run away with it. But at every turn, Washington was getting them stops, making the plays. If Alex Smith had been out there, who knows what could have happened. Maybe a little more consistency, but this kid was out there slinging it in a way that Alex Smith is not going to be slinging it. Late in the game, you need to get down the field. They did it. I don't think anybody expected in their wildest dreams, despite my predicting they would go to the Super Bowl, that they were going to be even close in this game. But here we are, minutes left in the fourth quarter, and they still have a shot. And you got to respect that. They won their division, they got to the playoffs, and they almost made something happen. Respect.
Yeah.
To the point that nobody's even talking about the Tampa Bay Bradeners. Like, oh, okay, good for you, man. Congratulations, you won another playoff game. Whoop de frickin' do.
And they put Tom Brady on the ground yesterday, which is my favorite thing to watch. Every single game, if Tom Brady could go on the ground at least once. It doesn't even have to be a Bucs game. If he could just come in at halftime, somebody hits him in the middle of the field and he goes down, the crowd goes wild, we all go home.
There you go.
At halftime.
There you go. Yeah, it doesn't matter how he's on the ground as long as he's on the ground. I agree. But nobody's talking about the Tampa Bay right now and what they did. They did win the game, but nobody cares that they won the game.
I think their fans are probably worried that they barely won this game.
I would
against
say so
a team that you could say didn't even have a shot of getting there.
I mean, the Dolphins had more of a case
but
of being in the playoffs.
They made it, but they made it look good. They made it look good last night. So did Washington step up to the plate and really knock it out, or did Tampa fall off a little bit?
Definitely an interesting perspective, and we'll definitely see when Tampa moves on to the divisional round. I think it's really going to come down to who they end up playing, too. That's going to be a big thing, and a lot of that will not be figured out until today because of the beautiful expansion of our playoffs. So you can't go wrong with having this much football. I love it. Absolutely love it. But we do have that slate of games happening today, and we need to hit it right off the top with the 11-5 Baltimore Ravens traveling on down to take on the also 11-5 Tennessee Titans. Baltimore is favored by 3.5. It's a 105 game on ABC or ESPN on that good old ABC family. But this game is going to be very interesting for a number of reasons because it's going to be really two different offensive approaches going against each other. Excuse me, that it's really going to come down to who can stop which explosive offense? Can you stop the explosive playmaking ability of Lamar Jackson, or can you stop the absolute dominant beastly running of Derrick Henry? And it's going to make for a very nice storyline. I think it's going to be a very back and forth kind of affair. And this game is going to come down literally, I think, to whoever has the ball last. These teams are two very evenly matched teams. And I think, and I am going to go out on a limb and say the Tennessee Titans will win this game on the legs of Derrick Henry, because he is a beast and he will stiff arm you if you do not agree. So there's that. Your thoughts, George?
I'll tell you what, if he was willing to give me his game check, I will gladly get stiff armed by him.
Oh, all day.
I mean, I all day.
Where
all
do I
day.
sign up?
Just 1 week. I'll even take half. I'll, donate the other half. Derrick Henry has been a beast. He has been bottled up in some games before.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm interested with this game is not Lamar Jackson. It's not Derrick Henry. It's John Harbaugh versus Mike Vrabel. I am from a football standpoint. If you're a big football fan, man, you are salivating at this game because of the schemes and the coaching and who's going to manage the clock better, who's going to go for it on fourth when you don't expect it, who's going to come up with some sort of play or scheme for a particular drive that is the game breaker.
Who's
That's
going
what
to
I
take
think
a
it really
poop
comes
and come
down
back
to
the game and win? Oh, wait, sorry, that was just Lamar
That
Jackson.
was Lamar Jackson, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I hope he has he reduces his fiber in his diet, because he's going to make sure that he's there for all of this game.
Yeah.
No,
you
can't go and take a little break. No, you better
no prairie
like
dogging.
I tell my kids, you better go before we leave, because we're not stopping. So that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at that coaching matchup, man. It's going to be good.
I think
you enjoyed that one, dude.
Oh, that was good. That was hilarious.
One.
Well, having 4 kids, my level of humor sometimes falls a little. So it's okay. It's all good. I'm all for it. Jimmie, what are your thoughts on this game?
I think the key for both teams is going to be balance, not just balance between the run and the pass, because they both like to run. It's going to be the balance between doing what you do and throwing in those wrinkles that give it something extra. Everybody knows Derrick Henry's going to get the ball and run it right up the middle. It's what you do on the plays that he doesn't get the ball. Do you mix it up a little bit? But we've seen teams, you get a little too far outside of your identity, and it's almost like you never show up. So you have to find that balance level between, okay, this is what we do, and everybody knows it. Okay, but this is our little something extra that's going to put us over the top. I think whichever team manages to do that is going to take the game.
Absolutely. Definitely a good look at that, because you can't just make it all about Derrick Henry or Lamar Jackson. So you got to find some kind of balance in there. Definitely a good way to look at it. But in our next game, we have the 8-8 Chicago Bears traveling on down to New Orleans to take on the 12-4 Saints. Saints are favored, last I checked, by 10. But the interesting storyline to this game, for this 4:40 game on CBS, is that Alvin Kamara and Michael Thomas have been activated for this game. So the Saints are at full strength, and the Bears are now screwed. So I thought this game could have the potential to be an upset pick, given if the Saints didn't have their entire running back room or Michael Thomas. How are they going to muster offense? They don't look that great in those kinds of scenarios. However, now you got Alvin Kamara and Michael Thomas. So sorry, Bears. You had a little glimmer of hope, and now you can just be sad and go back into your frozen hole and just wait till next year to try again with Mitchell Trubisky or Nick Foles, because that worked out so well for you this year, right?
I'm not sure if it's going to work out very well for the Bears. Come on. We got an 8-8 team. I think the Washington Football Club is more talented than the Bears. They are just one mistake over one mistake over one mistake. And do not sleep on the New Orleans Saints secondary. Their secondary is much more talented than you think. All right. They fly, they're ball hawks. They know how to get a turnover, and they're just going, wait, who's the quarterback? Trubisky? Sweet. They're just like, absolutely. They're all sitting there going, they're ready to go, just throw up 2 sweet signs all over the place. because they're going to have multiple picks in this game.
Mm-hmm.
And then Kamara and Thomas aren't going to even have to do that much. Drew Brees isn't going to have to do that much. They're going to have the ball so many times. Unless they just say, you know what, Trubisky sit on the bench and we'll just give it to Montgomery the whole time and run Wildcat. That's the only chance you got. The Saints, I like them in this game, and I like them to go deep.
Oh, yeah, Saints going to make it happen. What are your thoughts, Jimmie?
All right. I think it's just time for Drew Brees to say, I'm a man. I'm 40.
Oh, wait.
You
mean like this?
I'm a man. I'm 40.
Yes. Cued it in real time. That's the dream of every fan. So here's my prediction. If Drew Brees has less pass attempts than he has years alive, the Saints will win this game handily. If he has to throw the ball 60 times or something and it's not working, if they somehow manage to bottle up that run and Drew Brees has got to blow his arm out, maybe the Bears have a chance.
Oof. Did you say the Bears have a chance?
Oh, wait, look, there's a bear in there.
Maybe.
1 in a million is still a chance, as we all know.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I'm sure Bears fans are like completely
know,
rejoicing right now and just being like, oh my gosh, yeah. Jimmie just said, the meme god himself just said, the Bears have a chance. We'll definitely find out.
We've seen crazier things. We've seen crazier things, but this is where Sunday. That NFL, hey man, NFL, figure out your scheduling. This is where that weak team comes in. They limp into the playoffs. They get the nice little participation trophy. Yay, we made the playoffs. And then, oh, hey, here's the buzzsaw of the Saints.
I mean, but hey, let's not forget, though, the Saints have not exactly been juggernauts in the playoffs as of recently. Let's not forget the Minneapolis Miracle. And then, God, I don't even know what they called it the last year. The screwing of the Saints. I don't know. That was a few years ago in the NFC Championship game. But it's just crazy to see that everybody, again, is like so on the Saints to win this game. But watch the Bears do some tricky crap and keep this game close like Washington did with Tampa. I definitely could see this happening. But I agree. I think New Orleans is going to end up taking it. When you have Alvin Kamara and Michael Thomas, have fun guarding that, bro. So we'll see. But
crazier things has happened. But I know what's going to be the craziest thing is tonight's game.
Yes, tonight's game.
Tonight's game looks disgusting.
It does, and not even just because of COVID now. And the 11-5 Cleveland Browns are going to travel on over to Pittsburgh, take on the 12-4 Steelers. This is the third time they've played this year, second time in 2 weeks. This game is going to be interesting because Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski and 4 others have tested positive for COVID-19 and will be out for this game. So now you don't have your sideline boss running around telling you what to do, barking plays at you, telling you how to get better and get good. You don't have that. Now, who's going to be that sideline boss? Who's going to lead this team and get this team up for this game that they barely won last week against pretty much all the Steelers' backups? So, you know,
I think I heard, I just heard they're flying Jimmie out to Pittsburgh, and he's going to be the head, he's going to be in Baker Mayfield's ear and say, don't do that shit. Don't do that stupid shit that you usually do. All right. Here's what you do.
Playbook.
You give the ball to the running backs.
Where's Bobby Boucher?
No, you're not allowed to throw. You're not allowed to throw. You throw when I tell you to throw.
Yeah, right.
If Baker Mayfield can give the ball off to Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, and each of these boys can get 20 carries, watch Cleveland pull off this game. Because let me tell you, man, that running attack from those two guys is draining. And it's going to be cold. It's going to be nighttime. It's going to be one of those games where a little bit of bruising from a really good 1-2 punch in that backfield can really wear you down. And if Ben Roethlisberger doesn't have more chances to throw the ball and be effective, he could make a mistake or two. And the next thing you know, Cleveland Browns come away with this game.
Very well could happen. Jimmie, what do you think?
It wouldn't be the first time either. I mean, we've seen the Steelers just kind of fall apart sometimes, and who knows when. If their last game against each other is any indication, the Steelers should take this handily. I mean, to start, none of your starters lose by 2 points and then come back and play the same team again like this, and now they're depleted instead. But they've gotten off to a lot of slow starts. I don't have the stats in front of me, but their opening drives, not a high score percentage. The first quarter, not a high scoring percentage. The first half, they're throwing a lot of bombs in late in these games to win, and they played a lot of games against nobody. So we'll see. I don't think the Steelers are going to let this one drop, but it's possible. If Ben throws a couple picks, maybe one of them goes back for a touchdown. Maybe the Browns score on special teams. Now you got 14 points. I don't think the Steelers are going to win this game by 14 points. So there you go. I mean, all it takes is a couple splash plays to swing that 2-point difference the other way.
Yeah, and
that's what it's going to take. I love that you said that. I love that you said that, Jimmie. A splash play. Which team makes that splash play, right? Which team gets a defensive touchdown or a special teams touchdown or a kickoff return or a fumble or whatever? Whichever team makes that splash play the latest in the game wins this game, period.
Well, you just hand Myles Garrett a twisted T and he'll get you that splash play. Or is it a helmet? Oh, wait, that was last year. Anyways.
A cannonball with a helmet.
Now, this game's going to be really interesting, though, just because you don't know. It's like a battle of which team is going to show up for both teams. Like, are we going to get the Browns team that was able to get up and actually go 11-5 and actually make the playoffs for the first time in who knows how many years after 27 other quarterbacks tried? Or are we going to get the same old Cleveland Browns that's going to come out and shit the bed and look like crap against backups? Or are we going to get Pittsburgh Steelers, who are the Pittsburgh Steelers of old, who can actually move the ball and get it in the end zone and play hard-nosed defense? Or are they going to be these wimpy, crappy little Steelers that couldn't even beat a football team with no name? So it's crazy when you're looking at it that you really don't know how this game will go. Put whatever line on it you want, put whatever predictions, any kind of analytics you want. None of it matters because this is not only a divisional rivalry game, it is now a playoff game. Both these teams are lost. They don't even themselves know which team's going to show up today and won't even know until the game is over. And that's what I think it's going to be, a very sloppy game. Excuse me. I think it's going to be a very tough game of attrition to where who can actually pull something off to make this happen. It's going to be splash plays, yes. But I think that's the only thing that's going to make this game a game because I think it's literally just going to be a war of attrition. So, I don't know. We'll see.
Who wins it on the front lines, right? Who wins it in the trenches, as you say? The offensive line versus the defensive line. We talk about it all the time, and nobody's talking about it between these two teams. They're all talking about Ben and Baker and the running backs and the defense. Nope, it's going to be the D-line and the O-line. Like you said, war of attrition, which team really comes out through and just finds a way to battle. It's you're going to have to cover so many different bases.
Yeah,
it's going to be almost impossible to figure out and impossible to predict.
Absolutely.
Oh, and pro tip for the Steelers wide receivers, catch the football. If the ball hits your hands and then hits the ground, that's not a catch.
Two hands.
That's sound advice.
Two hands. Yeah.
Fundamentals. Get them Odell Beckham fingertip glue gloves and get out there and catch the ball. But one job. But if you're a running back, you got 3 jobs, right? Run the ball, block, catch the football. Wide receiver, more simple than that. Get out there and get your hands on the ball.
Sorry, I'm applying.
Use some of that stick 'em. Use some of that hot hands stick 'em and just catch the ball.
OG, get that resin all over your socks, all over your hands, all over the other players, whatever it takes to catch. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying it. That's the New England Patriots. Anyways, But no, it's definitely going to be interesting, and we'll definitely have a lot more for you guys next week once we have the outcome of these games and we start moving on to the divisional rounds. So definitely make sure to follow all things Final Score at PCN Final Score. That way you can see those latest updates, just like you can check all the latest content from Final Score on a bunch of different platforms. What can you tell us about that, George?
Oh man, you can catch us anywhere and everywhere. You cover all the bases, just like we're covering everything here on Final Score. Audio, you can catch us on Spotify, on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcast, Intune, Stitcher, Podbean, Google Podcasts, also on video. Check us all out on YouTube. All you got to do is search for keyword Final Score, one word, una palabra, or visit us at our website, podcastcity.net/Final Score.
Yes, definitely make sure to check it all out there. That is our portal over there on the podcastcity.net. Has everything and every platform we're on, so definitely make sure to go and check it out. But now it is time to switch gears on over to college football, because we do have a huge game that will be taking place just tomorrow, right down the road from where we are here down in Miami, and it's going to be absolutely amazing. That's going to be like right in your backyard there, George. It's going to be a crazy game. So we're going to have the number 3 Ohio State Buckeyes taking on number 1 Alabama Crimson Tide. Game will be at 8 p.m. on ESPN at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. This game almost didn't happen because apparently Ohio State ended up coming down with 12 cases of COVID just last week, was able to clear protocols literally just a day and a half ago. So we literally barely had this game actually happen, but everybody's good. Everybody's cleared. Everybody's already made the trip down, and we're having a national championship game tomorrow. George, man, this is going to be a big game, and a lot of people didn't expect Ohio State to even be here, man. What are your thoughts on this one?
All right, well, let's first off start off with that you're bringing college football to Miami.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for those of you that understand, yes, it's in my backyard. Yes, we are a COVID hotspot, whether you think we are or not. If you go to any brunch or bar or anything, even right now on a Sunday, there are ladies on top of bar stools, and they're having brunch and they're drinking champagne and mimosas and doing all kinds of crazy shit. It's Miami, for sake. Come on. You're going to bring a bunch of college kids down here? I'm surprised that they even made it down here with all the stuff that was going on with Ohio State. So yeah, it is going to be in my backyard. So that means traffic is going to suck. So just another thing that I'm not too thrilled about. And here's another thing I'm not too thrilled about. This game, the Ohio State Buckeyes versus the Nick Saban, dynasty. Really? Are we really thinking that Ohio State has a legitimate shot here? Not only are they depleted because of COVID, they're also, going to deal with an Alabama team that's run roughshod through everybody with a Heisman Trophy winner at wide receiver, plus a running back, plus a phenomenal quarterback. Alabama's just too big, too deep. I don't know about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Jimmie, what do you think?
Well, I got a lot of Ohio State fans in my family, so I'm just going to carefully say, if they play their cards right and don't make any mistakes, they may have a small chance of winning this game.
Hey, there you
That's
go.
as generous as I can be. They were set up to fit.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you have teams that go in by default. Doesn't matter how good they are, right? You end up seeing it on the field. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen. We're going to see it on the field that maybe they should have never been there.
Yes,
maybe.
Absolutely.
But give them a little bit of props, right? They did beat Clemson, but man, they pulled out every stop to make sure they had to beat Clemson. They played the game of their lives against Clemson and found a way to win.
Again?
I don't know if they can. Again? I don't think so. Yeah. That's where I'm coming at. I don't think they can do it again, not against a team that is so well coached and does not like making mistakes.
Man.
You have to find a way to beat Alabama. Alabama's not going to beat themselves. Clemson kind of beat themselves a little bit in that game, and Ohio State took advantage. I don't see Alabama beating themselves in this game. You're going to have to find a way to win. I mean,
it's hard to capitalize on those mistakes when they're not making them.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Because
that's the way that a less talented team can take out a more talented team, is by capitalizing on mistakes. If you play mistake-free football and you're the dominant team, it's a blowout every time.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. That's a very good point. This game really will be about making as little mistakes as possible. Because the one thing I see with Ohio State during their regular season, ton of mistakes. You barely beat Indiana by a touchdown. You barely outlast Northwestern in the Big Ten title game. And you basically were being hung with every single team in the Big Ten. You just happen to have won. And you lost a lot of your games, including your huge rivalry game against Michigan, among others. And I never felt we had a true test or even a true look at what this team was capable of until Clemson happened. But I don't think that was Ohio State overcoming and winning. I think that was Clemson falling on its face and losing, honestly, because Clemson already had to get up and get revenge against Notre Dame, which they admittedly have said that they had a chip on their shoulder when they went down to Notre Dame in South Bend, and that they had that ACC title game circled in red and were ready to take out the Irish, and they did. But you didn't leave any energy to go in mere weeks later to have to go play Ohio State, who you probably wrote off because they only beat Indiana by 7 and barely outlasted Northwestern in the Big Ten title game. So looking at that, Clemson got caught off guard. Yeah. Plain and simple.
Yeah, they got caught off guard, definitely. But then you look at the talent, not to diminish that Ohio State definitely has some talent. They played less games, but Fields had 21 touchdowns and 6 picks throughout the season, where Jones had 36 touchdowns and 4 picks.
Exactly. And that's the thing you have to look
their
at.
Their top receiver had 5 touchdowns this year. Oh, Devontae Smith, top receiver, 20. This dude had 20 touchdowns this year.
But that's why
I mean, come on, man. The talent is huge there.
Absolutely. But that's why I felt Ohio State didn't belong in this playoff, because the simple fact that you see all this serious talent that has showcased it for a complete season. You guys played half a season and are making it in on your name and merit alone. And that's not good. You need to be in because of your play. You need to be in because of what you actually did. And what did Ohio State do? Nothing. You outlasted of what part of the Big Ten was able to survive COVID, and were happened to be the guy still standing on top with a semi-clean shirt. That is really all it was. And now you're telling me they deserve to be in the playoff? I don't know.
Yeah, because they still have the same logo.
Yeah, we're gonna save my feelings on that, because we have a whole section after this, or a segment that we're going to be doing that you guys are not going to be ready for. It's going to be absolutely amazing, and I'm the one who's going to be saying,
I'm a man. I'm so ready.
I'm so ready.
Oh, it's going to be so good.
Man,
it's going to be so good.
I'm so ready. What are your predictions, though? Let's just throw those out there real quick. What do you think, Jimmy? Give us a score prediction. What are you thinking here?
I can't even imagine. Like I said, it depends on how the game goes, but 56-30.
Nicely high scoring, a little bit of a blowout, though, for sure.
Definitely.
Chris, what are you thinking, dude? What's your prediction?
I think Ohio State will be able to stay in this at least a little bit. They aren't a completely, untalented team or anything. I think this will end up coming down to, though, just bigger plays made by Alabama. Alabama's going to take this 42-31.
Fair enough. I am going to go bold, as I always do, and say Alabama definitely wins this one, and it's going to be a snooze fest by halftime, 48-17.
Yeah, that's not
absolute bad. Blowout.
That does sound like a blowout, and I would love to see that happen, just so I can hear all the Ohio State fans just cry, and you would literally hear them cry. It would be that bad. So it's going to be great. We're going to see what happens. Just like we see what happens all the time with the great parent network of Final Score, Podcast City Network, because Final Score is a proud member of Podcast City Network. Oh my gosh, totally lost my place. And Podcast City Network has 19 independent podcast members across all genres of podcasting, ranging from horror to sci-fi to movies. Of course, with sports, we try to bring as much as we can. And you can find Podcast City Network on all major social media platforms, on Facebook at /Podcast City Network, Twitter at Podcast City Net, Instagram at Podcast City Net, YouTube by searching keyword Podcast City Network, and on our website at podcastcity.net. But now this next segment, I don't think anybody is ready for right now, because
I don't think anybody is, man. I don't think I'm going to give a quick shout out to a couple of our boys that are watching, Ulysses and Joseph. Thank you so much for always coming on the show. A couple of guys of mine that are always following. Appreciate you being on here. Get ready because you're going to be quizzed about this in class as soon as we get to this rant. I'm telling you that right now.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go.
Oh, okay. So
I'm letting you loose, man. This is like, Brock Lesnar just showed up. Go.
Oh,
clean house.
Oh, bro, it's going to be so good. It's so good that I actually – here we go. Ah, there we go. College football playoff is garbage. If you did not know this, then you have been living under a rock, because this is the only sport in all North American sports that literally is able to screw over all the teams simultaneously that play in this league. Because we're going to do a little bit of a math lesson. And if you have not done math today, guess what? You're doing it now, because it's great to work your brain and start your day. So we're going to start it from the top with all of North American sports, how many teams they have, how many teams make playoffs, and the percentage of those teams versus the total team. So let's look at this. NBA, you have 30 teams in the NBA, 16 make playoffs, and there's always top 4 in the championship. 53.3% of the teams make playoffs. That's pretty fair, right? That sounds good, right? Let's go ahead. Let's move on down.
That's not bad.
Yeah, let's move on to the next one. That's
NHL.
NHL.
It's always LeBron, but hey.
Oh, yeah, well, it is what it is. But NHL, 31 teams, 16 playoff teams, and probably still the best playoffs that you can see. 51.6% of the teams in the NHL make the playoffs. That's pretty crazy, but awesome. You get a lot of great playoff hockey. I tell you, NHL, some of the best playoffs you can get. Let's look at what we got going on right now. The NFL, 32 teams, 14 teams make the playoffs. That's a 43.8% clip. Okay? Even though that the NFL tries to screw over all their teams also with playing on Thursdays and giving them short weeks and stuff, but they just all want the money, so that's all they care about. What? What?
Who said that?
What? So 43.8% of the teams in the NFL make the playoffs. Okay? Not too shabby. You want to keep it elite. Let's go ahead and move it down a step further. Major League Baseball, 30 teams, 10 make the playoffs. 33.3%. A third of the league makes the playoffs. That's not bad in my eyes. That seems pretty fair given the kind of teams you have in there. But you know what? We can't get a full scope just looking at pro sports. Let's go ahead. We're going to kick it up a notch, and we're going to look at college athletics, starting with D1 college baseball. Now, if you know anything about college baseball, there is a bunch of teams in college baseball to the tune of 297 teams that play D1 college baseball and are always trying to make the march to Omaha. But 64 of those teams make the playoffs, 21.6%. All right, everybody keep it up right now. We're at 21.6%. Okay, so almost a quarter of college baseball makes the playoffs. Let's go ahead. Let's look at our favorite one, March Madness, D1 college basketball. 351 teams are in D1 college basketball that are always playing for March in the greatest tournament there is. 68 of those teams, though, are the ones that make that tournament, not including the NIT tournament that happens as basically, your subset. Hey, we didn't make the tournament, but here's this other tournament so we can feel good about ourselves tournament. It's that kind of tournament. But still, that's 19.4%. 19.4% of all college basketball teams make the tournament. Okay, now we're getting elite. Let's go ahead and kick it up another notch. FCS college football, formerly D2, for those who've been around long enough to know what that is. 127 teams play in FCS football. 24 of those teams make the playoff. 18.9%. Okay, now before we get to what is currently FBS college football, also formerly known as D1 football, we got to do a little quick recap. So our lowest number that we saw here was FCS football at 18.9%. That's 18.9% of their total teams that make the playoffs. Now, who's ready to have their mind blown? Let's go ahead. Show of hands. Who's ready to have their mind blown?
I'm ready.
All right.
I'm ready.
Ready?
I'm ready.
Ready? All right.
Let's
so
go.
FBS football.
Let's go. Throw it down.
FBS college football, formerly Division I football, the greatest and best and top tier of college football, has 130 teams, only 3 more than FCS. Yet, only 4 teams make the playoff. That is a 3.1% rate of teams that you have total that make the playoffs. How in the world is that fair or makes sense in any kind of way whatsoever that isn't money related? Please try and explain that one to me, NCAA.
It's all money related, boys. It's all money related. It's about the Tostitos Bowl. It's about the Chicken Wing Bowl. It's about the Buffalo Wild Wings Bowl, the Backyard Bowl, the Bills Mafia Bowl.
Oh, but wait.
The Final Score Bowl coming soon.
Hey, coming soon.
Hey, why not? I'll take it.
I take it
bowl
too.
Game, I'll take it.
But the big thing I see is that you've seen every year the number of bowl games increase to try and give everybody that postseason feel. The NCAA wants to argue that we want to put emphasis on the regular season and know that every game counts. Well, don't we boast the same thing in college basketball, yet you still play in a conference championship tournament and then turn around and play in the, national championship tournament called March Madness? Interesting. Now, let's go ahead and look at this from another perspective, and this is one that I think no one really looks at. Now, people always say, well, FCS is not FBS, okay? There's bigger teams with bigger fan bases, with more money and better players. Okay, but guess what? This is college athletics regardless. And the FCS still deals with the same academic and athletic deadlines, rules, protocols, and everything that every FBS team does. And, let's not forget that the FBS and FCS are both run by the NCAA. So please try and tell me how there is any way whatsoever that there isn't a way we could institute a more than 4-team playoff in FBS. There's no argument other than, we like making money because, it puts emphasis on all of our games. That's cool. You can still put emphasis on all of your games having a legitimate playoff. Okay?
Bowl games and sponsorships, man. That's what it's all about.
Mm-hmm. And you want to take it a step further and look at it. Let's not forget that the current college football playoff format was instituted less than 10 years ago. And before that, it was the BCS, which means you only had two teams out of 130 teams, which at that point, actually, I think was 127. But still, the math doesn't add up. And you're telling me that this is legitimate? That this is the best way to crown your champion every year, year in and year out, knowing that the best teams are getting that shot? Bullshit. And that's what I say. Bullshit. Because there's no reason outside of money that this is happening. There's no reason outside of money that the college football playoff couldn't be expanded. No non-Power 5 team has ever qualified for the college football playoff, and we had two, not even one, but two non-Power 5 teams go undefeated this season in Coastal Carolina and in Cincinnati. And Cincinnati was top 10. So, I mean, where is the actual proof or reasoning to show that this is okay? There is none. And that's why I'm calling out the NCAA at this point. I'm calling out the NCAA. I'm calling out the College Football Playoff Subcommittee and the playoff itself. It is a sham. And if you think that this is fair, then you are blind, because this is literally set up as a cash cow to make the NCAA and all these universities billions of dollars while they steal money from these kids that are putting their lives and their bodies on the line for these schools, for these athletic programs, and for these rich old fuckers sitting in their offices thinking that they have any kind of reason whatsoever to keep this as the status quo. It is garbage, NCAA. Complete
it is garbage. Let me add to that real quick, because there's a great point that you just mentioned there, bud. And that is, yeah, it's a huge cash cow. And what is the NCAA now going to do to silence a few things? Now we're going to start entertaining the concept of paying our college athletes now.
And give them a stipend that won't exceed 10 grand.
Right. Do not be fooled. This is only to silence the crowd just enough over the bigger problem that it is.
Yep.
This should have happened 10 plus freaking years ago.
Yep.
All right. The being paid and being able to use your name and your likeness for the good of the community, which majority of the athletes wanted to do. They wanted to say, hey, if you pay me $1,000, I'll come to your charity event and sign autographs. How
like
is that
athletes?
A bad thing? Yeah, like normal athletes. How is that a bad thing? It's, I just borrowed somebody's suit so I could make it to some kid's wedding that he invited me to, to do something fun. That player got, suspended for, I don't know how many games. There's so many stories like that.
The UCF kicker who had his own YouTube channel, who was trying to create his own independent content that had nothing to do with him being a UCF football player or a kicker or football. Yet the NCAA told him he couldn't have it and he had to choose. You know what he said? He said, forget you, NCAA. I'll keep my channel.
There you go. He said bye-bye.
Good for him.
I'm glad he did, but don't get it twisted, and do not, have the wool cover your eyes. They're paying the NCAA players right now because they are still getting billions of dollars off of these kids with all these damn bowl games and all that bull crap. What do the bowl games do? They do nothing. They do nothing to your stock as a university. I mean, you go to a bowl game and you win the bowl game. It's actually more important that you beat your rival. Yeah, you get a bullshit trophy.
I won the Meineke Car Care Bowl. Who cares? I don't care that you won the Meineke Car Care Bowl. Did they service your tires while you did it too? Come on, this is absolutely ridiculous. I wouldn't feel happy about that. If I'm not winning a national, that's why I think I like being a fan of Notre Dame. We don't care about the little dinky bowls. If we're not winning a national title, it doesn't matter. And that's how every team should be approaching it, honestly. Unless you're in the conference. Yeah, win your conference title too. But guess what? Win titles, bro. Get rings. Make yourself known that you're the best. But you can't do that when you're pulling this kind of garbage and really making the system game to the programs that have the most money, that have the biggest followings, that are going to bring you in the TV ratings. Why do you think we end up with Clemson, Ohio State instead of Clemson, Notre Dame Part 3? Because of ratings. We already saw Notre Dame, Clemson twice. Nobody want to see that again. And that's what I'm saying. The whole thing is rigged to not only make it think that these players are doing something, to make it think that these players are getting compensated, to make it think that these players are being able to give a fair shot and opportunity, when in reality, this is all just a cash system made to make people richer. And that's all it is. And that's all college football has become. Because what other reason do you have such a disparity in your own playoff? Why have disparity in your playoff? You know what I mean?
Status quo.
Money.
When
exactly.
the status quo benefits you, you don't want to let it go.
Exactly.
That's how it's going to be. And now that they're going to start paying some of these guys, just wait. It's going to allow them to be even more restrictive on their private lives. Hey, we're paying you. You don't need to have that YouTube channel. You don't need to be doing a podcast. And some of these guys need the money. That's the other thing that nobody's talking about, is now that you're financially tied to the school, they've got you.
Yep.
They've got you. Because now it's not just your professional career ahead of you that you have to worry about. It's your financial stability right now. So if you're not willing to kowtow to these guys that are gracious enough to break you off a piece of your own money, I mean, who generates the revenue? Is it the school or is it the players?
Exactly. Can't have asses in seats if you don't have players winning the games.
Yep.
Right. So, and every time you see someone who doesn't want things to change, it's because the system currently benefits them the most. Every single time. That's a guarantee. It's just human nature. Well, why do things need to change? I'm sitting here on top, and it's great.
That's what I'm
saying.
And
what I think pisses me off as a fan of college football and a fan of college sports overall is that, guess what? Baseball has the Omaha system, right? You have March Madness with basketball. Okay. You have a Frozen Four tournament with hockey.
Yep. I didn't even include
I'm never gonna shy away from doing that. There is a Frozen Four tournament with hockey. And it's not just 4 teams.
Yep.
And that's the smallest of the college sports. There's lacrosse tournament for college lacrosse. I mean, come on.
Let's not forget women's
college
basketball.
NCAA had the ability. They have the ability, and they have systems in place already from other sports that they could mirror off of
easily,
but they don't want to.
Nope, because they're sitting on top.
And I think that's why
these numbers say it all. This is mind blowing to me. I mean, when you see it on paper like that, 3.1% of teams, that says it all. You can't. Numbers don't lie. You look at all that whole list. It's not even close. There's not even another major league that's below double digits. And they're at 3.1%. I mean, that literally just you can't forget when you see it in black and white like that.
That's what's crazy about it.
And we're not going to let them forget it.
Oh, no, we're not. Because you know why?
We're not going to let them forget it. How are we not going to let them forget it? Tell me.
You know how we're not going to let them forget it? Because I have decided to create a shirt to make sure that people not only know, but can also support boycotting the college football playoff. Hashtag down with CFP, because we are done. The college football playoff is garbage. We need a change. We need real change. We need this playoff expanded. We need teams to actually have a shot. We need college football. Oh my God, I can't believe I almost said that. I can't say we got to make college football great again. That's horrible. But we do need to make college football great again, because it has not been great in a long time, just because the powers that be do not want to allow it to be that way. So fight them. Let's fight back. Buy the shirt. Help support us in our fight against the college football playoff, because we're being real. We're hoping this can actually get to somebody and we can maybe try to enact some kind of change, get some kind of grassroots following, something to try and help get this change, not only for these athletes that are stuck into this position, but for these fans that get screwed over year after year, having to sit on the sideline. I feel bad for Cincinnati Bearcat fans. I truly feel bad for you guys. You guys had a great season. You went undefeated. Notre Dame just hired your defensive coordinator for the same position. You guys are legit, and you got screwed. Just like Coastal Carolina. Doesn't matter if they lost their bowl game. They should have had a shot. They were undefeated. And they beat BYU on short notice. Who does that? So, I mean.
That's not an easy thing to do. And they should have at least been given their shot.
Yeah.
Let's see what they can do.
Yeah, who cares
Remember
about
the
what
last
people
time
think?
a team was given a shot? It was Boise State, and they went and beat Oklahoma in a bowl game.
In the Fiesta Bowl.
In the Fiesta Bowl.
In double overtime.
We don't need to say.
Sorry.
We don't even need to say it the Fiesta Bowl, because who gives a shit if it's the Fiesta Bowl?
Yeah,
That's
who
just
cares?
another
They
sponsorship.
beat him either way.
They beat them. They were given a shot and they beat them. So
Absolutely.
yeah, I'm with you on this 100%. And talk about a missed opportunity. Every league in sports has taken a different approach this year.
Mm-hmm.
They've used this year, the 2020, the BS of, it's just 2020, to test some things out. And they did nothing.
Yeah.
Other teams, other leagues did a bunch of different things for protocols. Not so much the NFL, but they put in a lot of protocols and safety and, virtual meetings and virtual practices to kind of try to help. They did at least something. College football didn't do squat.
No, and they never did.
They had the opportunity to try something. They had a chance to say, you know what, because of 2020 and the teams not playing all the teams and not having to play 10 plus games, let's do an expanded playoffs. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah, didn't even consider it. And that's what's absolutely disgusting.
And they had a free pass.
Well,
free pass.
Yeah.
Any changes they made this year, they could have said, well, it's 2020 coronavirus.
Mm-hmm.
Literally any change. If they said, the players aren't playing without helmets because they're going to need to wear face masks, or people would have had to go with it, because that's just what it was. 2020 was the craziest year we've had in a minute, maybe minute and a half. And for them to not, that is such a good point. Like, we literally would have let you get away with anything. And what do? Maintain the status quo.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Could have been a year of great growth, but again, help us in our fight to boycott the college football playoff. Again, you can get the shirt on our website, podcastcity.net. My goodness, I can't even English right now. I'm just so upset with NCAA football.
Don't worry, man. We got you. We got you, because you know what?
Anytime
I'm going on
you
right
wear
now.
that shirt.
Go ahead, Jimmy.
Anytime you wear that shirt in public, hit it up on the social media.
Yes.
Tag it.
Absolutely.
Hit it up on that Facebook page. Get the word out, because we're not going to see change. Obviously, like George just said, they had every chance to change it this year, and nothing happened. So it's going to come down to the fans getting the word out there. If somebody goes, well, why? Why would you want to stop the college playoffs? I love the Toyota Corolla Bowl or whatever. Show them those numbers.
That was the Too Fast, Too Furious.
Show them those numbers. Because for me, seeing this, hearing that rant, I might get a clip of the rant. And when somebody asks me about the shirt, go, here's Chris. And now to Chris. You got a couple minutes? And, I might even carry a little mic around in my back pocket. And when the clip's over, boom.
Just drop it.
But you got to get the word out there. Nobody, unless we start making some noise, we're not going to get the product that we, the fans, deserve.
Absolutely.
We're the ones paying for the tickets, buying the merch. We're the ones supporting these teams, the fans and the players. Let's go. The players aren't in a position to change anything. They're beholden to the league that gives them all their opportunities. But the fans can support the players and give more guys an opportunity to shine.
Absolutely. Yes. So definitely join us in our fight, because we're going to try to make this go viral as much as we can. This segment probably will get clipped and released on its own, but definitely make sure to come support it. All you got to do, go buy the boycott the college football playoff t-shirt, available now, podcastcity.net/shop. It's available now. And let's take this thing down. Let's make true change happen, guys. Let's do it. Final Score fans,
I'm going on,
you guys.
I am going on right now and ordering my shirt over at podcastcity.net/shop. I'm doing it right freaking now. And as I'm doing that, I'm going to let you all know, what do you have to do by buying that shirt? There's another thing you can do. You can join the Podcast City Network. Podcast City Network, we offer an array of membership services, including logo design and branding, social media advertising, live podcast hosting, and much, much more. Looking to update a Boycott the College Playoff t-shirt? Let's design one together. Let's do it. Let's get the word out there. You are definitely going to be able to just gain access all across to our ever-expanding PCN community based on people helping people. Best part is, guess what? No membership fee. So what are you waiting for? Go to podcastcity.net/join now and join the fastest growing independent podcast network around, Podcast City Network.
God, that sounds so good.
Let's
coming out
go.
your mouth. I love it. Loving it, George. Loving
it.
That
was just a transition. I channeled the transition king a little bit there for you.
You did. I'm not going to lie. I felt like a little flutter. I was like, oh, George is trying to take my heart. All right, but that does mean, though, it is time for Meme Madness. And Jimmie, we brought you on very special because a lot of these are your creations, sir. And we thought, who better to come in and curate this week's memes than the meme god himself, Jimmie. Oh, man.
I am honored, sir.
I'm so excited for this one. So let's go ahead. We're going to hit it off the top, bud.
So the first one, a little show of support for Craig. When I found out he was going to be out, I thought, all right, he's got to kick some ass and get through it so we can get back to the show that we love.
Yes, absolutely. Definitely a good one because Craig definitely took slam that throat surgery and he's now resting well. Definitely want to wish you a speedy recovery, bud, and we can't wait to have you back.
Love you, Craig.
Def dude.
You the man.
You the man. But our next meme though is for Dolphins fans everywhere. What can you tell us about that one, Jimmie?
Oh, this one made me laugh so hard.
Yeah, got a good kick out of this one.
Tua versus Tebow. Not only are the names kind of similar, but we've seen some other things that are a little similar about these guys.
Oh yes, and a lot of Dolphins fans just don't want to see it.
No. I'm telling you, man. Dolphin fans, we're trying not to see that Tua is this generation's Tebow. We're trying really hard. I mean, it's like, and I hear everybody still talking about it and saying, "Oh, come on, just give him another year, just give him another chance." Come on. Aren't you supposed to
play one full game?
Yeah, we don't. Not only that, but aren't you supposed to be professional scouts? Like, aren't you supposed to be able to watch a player in an 8-game professional tryout, so to speak, and know what you have or know what potential you have?
Mm-hmm.
I don't see this high potential that they are trying to find. I mean, sure, he could win us a playoff game with the right team around him. Tebow did it. Yeah, but is he really going to take us back to the Super Bowl?
No.
I mean, maybe that's all we need as Dolphin fans.
Maybe.
Is a chance back to be in the playoffs. Maybe that'll be enough.
Well, maybe Miami corporate is trying to find the comparison themselves and have been asking some people about the differences in some pictures that they have. What was their response, Jimmie?
Yeah, this is one that made me laugh too because FinalScore had posted the original Tua Tebow controversy, and then this one actually came in from the comments.
Oh, it's too good. Oh, it's too good.
I love when we get the chains of memes going, you know?
We call it chain memeing. Similar to chain smoking.
Nothing better than a little bit of Office.
Oh yeah,
you throw in the office in there, and you just that's a winning recipe. That's a winning recipe.
Oh yeah,
everybody loves that show, and I have to admit I haven't seen it.
That's all right. I've seen one season.
But I know a good meme template when I see it.
Hey.
That's the skill. I don't need the context. I just need the jokes. You know.
That's right.
And speaking of jokes, there's a little transition for you.
Yeah, that was a good one. I really like that. Speaking of jokes,
the next one's about them boys.
Because we ran out of room, probably because of social distancing, because they lost to so many teams. But you know, oh, it is too good. It is too good. So glad them boys didn't make it. But you know what? After they lost to the New York Giants, Giants fans were very hopeful in outcomes of other games. Probably a lot of fans looking like SpongeBob here in this one.
A taste of what the Eagles have been eating all year long.
Yeah. Oh man, so good. But our next one though, I really did enjoy as well, because I know a lot of NFL teams have to be thinking about this one. What can you tell us, Jimmie?
Oh, I really sympathize with this one for sure, because as you know, if it's 70 degrees, I'm cold.
Exactly. Oh man, but all NFL teams even thinking of having to go through Buffalo or Green Bay, man, that's just pain. That's just pain waiting to happen.
I could only be a pro athlete in Ecuador, somewhere warm. And if we got to travel, I'm staying home. You can keep half my salary every year. I'm real good on the salary cap because I only play in the warm.
Only play half the season, so.
Let me tell you, right now, you're going to have to go through Buffalo or Green Bay in these playoffs to see who gets through. That's definitely for sure. So you better bring your big boy pants. Make sure you're walking tall.
And we've seen it.
Find a way.
I mean, Tampa's coming. You know, at some point, they're going to have to hit the road and go somewhere cold. Brady's used to it, but how about the rest of that team? I guess Antonio Brown, too, played in Pittsburgh, but.
Yeah, but they've been chilling in Tampa Bay right now. They got, as soon as you start chilling in that warm weather, your body just says, oh, this is beautiful.
Yeah, to the point Tom Brady had to say something about it. He's like,
Tom Brady looks like he's got a nice little tan. Then he's going to have to go to Green Bay and go through that. And he's like, this is bullshit. I don't want to do this.
It's going to mess up his base tan, man. But
exactly.
But Final Score fans, I know, felt a very certain way when they heard that JDM was coming to the show to drop them gloves. Oh, look at that face.
Always JDM hype when we find out he's coming on. I remember the last one was mine. This one wasn't mine, but the last time I remember JDM coming on. Here we go.
Everyone was getting hyped, man. Everybody's like, oh, here he comes. Come on. That is one hell of a picture. Shout out to Christopher Tanviv, defenseman for the Pittsburgh Penguins, for giving us beautiful content with that headshot.
Yes.
So, this will be used in our, hockey chats and on Not a Hockey Market podcast over and over and over again. There's so many that you could do from this.
Oh, man. It's so good.
And then we go from looking forward to George's arrival to looking back at his season in fantasy football.
Hold on. Wait, real quick. When was the last time you won a fantasy football title, George?
So it's been 84 years.
Oh, man. Oh,
it was back when, Harry Potter was still relevant. Those movies were still coming out. I don't know, man. It's been a while.
At least now you got an excuse, because if you started winning, you'd have to change the name of the segment.
That is true.
Yeah, exactly. See? So I think I need to, for the sake of the segment, I'm going to have to continue to suck.
I'm just trying to be consistent, babe.
Oh, I'm sure your wife will love every moment of it.
That's why I traded for Baker Mayfield.
There you go. Exactly. I thought it would work out.
Oh my goodness. But Jimmie, what happens with playoff picks?
Oh, well, yeah. This one is about how what your playoff picks look like before and after you get that expert analysis from Final Score, or the third wheel this week, me.
It's that hot take, man, that you get, because if there's one show out there, guys, that does it and does it right, it's Final Score, because we go big or go home. We're going to give you the hot take. And you know what, man? If it doesn't work out, guess what? We're back here on the next week. Go, hey, we were proven wrong. Mm-hmm. There's a word that you don't hear from any sports analyst out there anywhere. Huh. They will never admit, hey, I was wrong.
No, definitely.
Real journalists print retractions.
Exactly.
That's how you know if your news is real news.
Yes.
Real journalists acknowledge their mistakes. Mm-hmm. That's what you got to love about this show.
Yeah, we're not going to be Colin Coward about it and try and blow a bunch of smoke up your ass on how, oh, well, this happened and this happened. So, yeah, we're not those people, thank goodness. But because of that,
I told
I
told Chris last night he should clip all of his correct predictions and put them out there on social media as clips. He goes, it's not really fair. It's not really fair. But I go, you know what? You're the only ones that acknowledge when you're wrong on the show. So maybe start giving yourself a little credit for when you're right.
Well, yeah, could definitely
just
do that.
from a fan's perspective. I'm not a broadcaster. I'm just playing one on TV.
Just the meme god. The meme god who has been sharing like crazy Final Score with everyone he knows.
Oh, yeah.
And decides to throw in probably one of my favorite memes of the week. Let's see it.
There it is. Too good.
It's nonstop. One of my friends at work told me that, like you talk about the show so much, I don't even need to watch it. You tell me everything that happens every week. I'm going, hey, it's still not the same. It's still not the same as being there in the chat, talking shit. It's the funnest show. Any of you guys that are listening to this during the week, which I know is a lot, try to get on here live. The chat is so fun. We're always talking smack, doing real-time live memes during the show. It's my favorite thing to do. Sunday mornings, log on, see who's in there. Sometimes it's JDM on the show today. He'll be in the chat talking trash. I love it. The show it's great, but it's greater live. I just gotta say.
Oh man, love it. We love it. We love it.
Thank you, Jimmie.
Thank you so much, bud. We really appreciate that. But that is the end of Meme Madness, which does mean now we got to talk about the good old PodChaser and all the great things that PodChaser does, because they are your daily source for podcast discovery, because Apple Podcasts is no longer the only credible place to rate and review podcasts. You can follow creators, browse every podcast ever, and rate and review episodes at ease. All you have to do is go to podchaser.com, search keyword Final Score, one word, and follow, rate, and review us on there. And we got a lot of great stuff. You can check out all the great stuff we've done over the past couple of years, and just go on there and check it out on PodChaser, podchaser.com. But that does mean it is now time for the week ahead, and we definitely have some sports that are going down. Obviously, we have the other three wild card NFL games that are going to be taking place starting at 1:05 today, so just a little over an hour and a half from now. But next weekend, we're going to have the divisional round of playoffs. So definitely make sure to keep your eyes glued to our social media at PCN Final Score so you don't miss out on our takes on that, as well as the NHL season. George, what more can you tell us about that?
Man, we are stoked. NHL season starting off. Puck drops for the 2021 season on the 13th. And let's just say you're going to have one hell of a slate of games to start off 115 days of hockey, of straight hockey, straight cash. The Penguins will face the Flyers at 5:30 p.m. on the 13th, followed by a beautiful rivalry of the Montreal Canadiens with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Blackhawks versus Stanley Cup champions. Sorry. That was for my buddy. Stanley Cup champions Tampa Bay. Sorry. Jeez, I can't do it. The Tampa Bay Lightning. Also at 10 p.m. and then 10:30, followed up with the late West Coast games. The Vancouver Canucks, one of my top teams this year, and the Edmonton Oilers, and then the Blues and the Avalanche.
Yes. Definitely.
Avalanche, letting you know, not a hockey market podcast, has the Avalanche as the early Stanley Cup winners.
Ooh.
Go over to 90 Miles Media and see the NHL preview that I did with our good buddy before throat surgery, Mr. Craig. Definitely check that out. And let's get rolling on some puck, some divisional play. Who's going to be in Tampa at the Super Bowl? I mean, final score the week ahead. Can't get in here any faster. Let's go.
It definitely can't get here any faster. I'm so ready for some hockey. It's not even funny. But we also have next week episode 90. That's right. We're going to be up to 90 episodes next week. 90 in the hole. And it's going to be crazy. We're going to be live 10 a.m. on Sunday here on Facebook Live. To make sure that you don't miss out, you need to follow us on Facebook at PCN Final Score. Check mark for the like and notification buttons. That way you can make sure you get notified when we go live. But, man, that means that is the end of our episode today. Any last words, George?
I got no other words other than let's do that hockey.
Oh, yeah. So ready for that.
Because I'm just as stoked as can be. And also, another last word, down with FCP.
Yes, that's right. Down with CFP. We do not need their garbage anymore. Any last words, Jimmie?
Thank you guys so much for having me on the show.
Not a problem at all, but
I'm a huge fan. You guys know, I think, if you're just tuning in for the first time, you think, oh, who's this crazy third wheel guy? I'm just a fan. I love the show. I started doing the memes because I want that type of fandom for the show. I am a fan of fandoms, and I want to get this Final Score fandom going. So all you guys out there, you see the memes, you see any of the articles or pictures or whatever, and it inspires you. You see a meme about something completely different and you want to just repurpose it, do it. Send them into the Facebook, send them into the email, the website, get them in there. We want this thing blowing up. It's a labor of love. For me, I'm not getting paid. I'm literally just a fan of the show. And here I am today on the show just because I thought, oh, it'd be funny, slap a Final Score logo on the Baby Yoda meme I made. Bam. Guys, let's go. I want to see 10 times the amount of memes. If you have any kind of idea that you think is funny, we'll laugh. I mean, we got a great... Not all the ones I make are great. They don't all, they don't all make the show, but I'm just going to keep doing them because I love the show. And, a testament to that is here I am. So guys, get going, get more out there, push that content. If you want to see this show get better video quality, sound quality, all that stuff comes from engagement. It comes from getting other people into the show. The more people we get, the more fans can create content for the show, and then it's off to the races. We don't have to wait till Sunday to be entertained. We can go on every single day and see some great content that reminds us of this show right here that we all love. And so thank you guys so much for having me on.
Oh, thank you for coming on,
awesome.
Bo. We really appreciate it. Really appreciate you coming on. Everything that you've done to this point, man. It's been awesome. Really been awesome. It's why we thought it was a great idea to bring you on, because what better fan to bring on than Jimmie, the meme god himself.
Absolutely. The meme god.
Appreciate it, guys.
But sadly, though, that does mean that is the end of our episode. Thank you guys so much for watching and supporting our show. But until next time, I'm Chris, and that's, I almost said Craig. That's George and Jimmie. I'm so used to it. It's just like muscle memory. But thank you guys for watching.
And good luck to Craig.
Yes, and good luck to Craig.
I'm
we'll
sure
see
he's
him back
doing
soon.
better.
Absolutely. So thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next week because you guys have just watched Final Score. Y'all have a great night. Podcast City Network.